yelling at me. She gets up, she gets.
Oh, she's in my face today. He stinks. He stunk up my whole office. If John was here, I'd have him in my office right now. Like,
I just
all right.
started this, so
You started?
yeah, because it takes a few seconds to
Okay,
start.
good. So
So I just this second.
all right.
You didn't mention any names.
Well, it's not quite 5:30, so we'll wait one more minute.
One more minute.
Yeah, so nice weather we're having.
Oh, I'm so sorry about the agenda too, and the new
No,
agenda.
that's
and the
fine.
yellow.
I thought it was
just, I wanted you to be able to see the supporting documents before.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it was a little confusing.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good spring.
Fantastic.
It's been.
Now that the rain's over.
Yeah.
Oh,
How much
yeah.
work did you have?
Been quite a bit.
Did you see Curtis's thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew it was bad.
it was rough. Even
Yeah.
in Mountain View, it was
I
really
heard
bad.
Curtis was out in the equipment
Mhm.
during
There
the
he
storm.
was.
Yeah.
On my road he was.
Okay.
And not just his.
Hope he put his work boots on.
All right, it's 5:30. I'd like to call to order the Albany Selectmen meeting of May 10th, 2023. Please join me at the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, this chair is fun. Okay, new business, approval of April 26th, 2023 Selectmen meeting minutes. Any discussion? Nope, all in favor?
I'll
Aye.
make a motion
Sorry.
to approve I'll make a motion to approve the selectmen meeting minutes of April 26, 2023.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of May 10th, 2023 consent file, review and sign manifest in the amount of $3,494.70 and $12,524.69. This includes an accounts payable and payroll manifest for 5/3 and 5/10/2023. Review and discuss and approve deny residential building permit application for 1467 Bald Hill Road for, is it Quonset hot storage building. Review and discuss and approve deny a residential building permit application for 1269 Bald Hill Road for a solar installation, and see email. Review, discuss, and approve deny PA-29 permit application for property tax veterans credit for 45 Red Eagle Street for the 2024 tax year. Review, discuss, and approve / deny PA-7 intent to cut timber at map 5, lot 7, Old Colony Road.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 10th consent file for discussion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the consent file to remove the discussion for an application for a building permit at 1269 Bald Hill Road.
Okay, second. All those in favor of removing amendment for 1269 Bald Hill Road?
Aye.
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 All right.
Do we have to make
Who
another
seconded?
motion?
Yeah, who seconded the amendment?
I did.
Okay, so that one passed, and now it's amended, now you have to make a motion.
I'll make a motion
On
to
what's
approve the amended consent file of May 10th.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm trying to give her some time to type all that.
Okay. Good.
So we go down to.
So what are we doing about that building permit?
The email from chief.
Okay.
I'm looking for that. Do we have
I have it. Hold on.
That's not for that one. The chief's
Oh, okay.
email is for a building permit that is not on this agenda.
Okay.
Says extension cord.
I know, it's my fault.
Oh,
Okay.
It's the wrong one.
oh, okay.
Do you wanna
That's-
withdraw all your, you can withdraw your,
amendment?
no, you know what, just make a motion to.
To approve?
The 1269 is the solar installation for
Yeah.
Anderson. So you have, the first one was Joe Ferris's hoop garage, and the second one was the solar installation.
Yeah.
The one we're talking about, I didn't put on the agenda because neither Dave
Oh.
Pandora nor the chief has. So
Oh.
basically what I'm doing is I'm bringing that to you separately to see what you want me to do about it now.
I'm sorry.
It's not on the agenda.
I thought that
It's
that
my
was.
fault because I put it in as your packet, but then and I wrote at the top, not on the agenda, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's my fault.
So,
Totally. So
so,
just make a motion to approve the 12.
okay. So I make a motion to approve the application for 1269 Bald Hill Road for a solar installation.
I have a second
All those in favor? Oh, sorry, should I say discussion?
discussion.
Any questions? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry about that.
Right. See how rough it is without you being the chairperson, Kathy?
It
It's-
takes
it's
practice.
really-
It's gonna be fine.
It's been
You're
bumpy.
doing just fine.
Okay.
All repetition.
All right.
That's true.
Would you like us to move on? We're
Yeah.
fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
I
great.
got it.
Okay. Review, discuss J. Herto P&H estimate for a coil on furnace to provide air conditioning for the town building. Do we not have any more estimates for that, or is just the one that you
Well-
could get? I know it's tough getting a hold of.
So we
for
talked
that.
about putting, originally I think the kind of conceptual plan was to put mini splits in the front because we had to put separate heaters in there because it doesn't push all the heat
Yeah.
to this end of the building. So I think the original plan was to put mini splits in that front, but that wouldn't deal with the meeting room. So then I think when Herto did the furnace, he's the one that did the installation. I didn't even try to get other prices because
Okay.
I don't think anybody else is
It
going
was
to.
hard to
Yeah.
get that price.
Yeah,
It's
it
even
was
hard
hard.
to get this price.
It was very difficult, and this price is only good for 15 days, so I
Yes.
don't know what we'll, I mean, and again, we could go back to the window air conditioners. It's not cost effective, it's not,
Yeah,
efficient, but-
efficient.
and I just wanted to remind you too that the 2023 town meeting passed warrant article number 8, which put $20,000 to use to perform town hall and town hall property upgrades. So this would
Okay.
certainly fall under that.
Yeah.
So we have the money. It may scale back what we can do outside. Like we might just have to pick one side of the building a year
Yeah.
and kind of do outside maintenance, but we certainly have the money to do this. This falls within
Okay.
that.
Well, I think it's a great time to just go for it then.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get us in before summer,
Yeah.
that'd be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then we'll see. We'll see if it
Yeah.
works. If it doesn't work, we may be talking about mini splits at a different date. I don't know.
And
Or we'll use
addition,
window
just-
air conditioners too. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. So do you just contact them and just?
I need you guys to make a motion to go ahead and.
I will make a
Good
motion to accept the John Herto P&H estimate for a coil on the furnace to provide air conditioning for town hall building.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, moving on. Review and discuss moving the May 24th, 2023 selectmen meeting to May 31st, 2023. Any discussion?
So this is just a house cleaning.
Yeah.
You all agreed to it. I just want to make sure that you
Yes.
put it in the minutes so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know.
All
And
right.
now notify Valley Vision
Okay.
because that's a no on the 24th and a yes on the 31st.
All right, so I make a motion to move the selectmen's meeting from May 24th, 2023 to May 31st, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye. Second.
Second, aye.
Second aye.
Good. Thank you. All right, so moving on, this is new. This is review and discuss and approve deny charitable exemption for Lakes Region Conservation Trust and or NH Audubon Society. As you said, this is something that's already,
They're required to file every year, and then you're required to review. So they file on a form, I think it's an A9, BTLA form A9, they, give us their reasons. And I have to say that Jason Call, our assessor, our licensed assessor, usually provides a memo. He said basically the memos from last year apply, so I just copied the one that we got from the Audubon Society. Under the charitable exemption under 7223.5, it says they need to own, occupy, and use the property. So
They own it, but they're not.
not necessarily using or occupying it, and it's always been, even before it was you three years ago when it was a different board, those two have always been denied.
As far back as I can remember, they were always denied.
Yeah.
And that was his
And they
recommendation.
can appeal
Okay.
to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals. I have to say, there's a big assessing case that just came out of Ossipee where the state is cracking down on these charitable. So what happened was a group of taxpayers got together and balked at, I believe it was a church that was getting a religious exemption because they were renting out part of the church, and that doesn't, so if a church has a rectory and the priest or the pastor lives in the rectory, that it's a religious purpose. But if the rector has to, let's say he has 10 kids and he needs to rent a bigger house, and they rent this house to defray the cost of that to a lay person, that's no longer a religious exemption. And towns have been kind of erring on the side of the charitable, and because it's a church or because it's the Audubon Society. But the state is looking at these, and other taxpayers are feeling disgruntled because they're required to pay their fair share, and they feel that some of these charitable organizations are not really charitable, or they're not religious, or they're not being used for that thing. So Jason has scrutinized these all over again through the lens of that lawsuit. And so that may change how he addresses some of this, because I think Habitat for Humanity generally gets charitable exemptions in the towns where they're working. They haven't started to work on the property here yet.
Okay.
So I think he's crafting a memo for you for the next meeting that may recommend denying for this year.
Okay. So,
But he's going to look at that through that lens of that most recent litigation, so that we don't run afoul
right.
of that. So I definitely need a motion on you guys
Okay.
accepting or denying.
So I'll make a motion to deny the charitable exemption for Lakes Region Conservation Trust and Audubon Society. All those in favor?
A second.
Second, yeah.
Huh?
Kelly second.
Sorry.
That's all right. You got
I
it.
like the way you're moving along.
I know, it's honestly because I want to go see a movie at 7, so
We can do it.
let's wrap
We
this
can
up. Okay. Review, discuss, and appoint Mr. James Druin as a cemetery trustee upon the recommendation of the cemetery trustees. Any discussion?
I was just wondering, is there anything other than the minutes?
No, I just got the minutes today too. That's why I added it, because I know they've been without a third member for a very, very long time. Did I put the appointment form in here? I can't remember
In the
seeing.
packet.
Was it
I
in
did
the-
not sign an appointment form though.
Okay, but I do put it. Oh boy, it's been a day. I'll just
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. James Druin as cemetery trustee.
A second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I took away your second.
That's
I thought I heard you starting it,
No,
and I
no.
just snagged it.
Snag.
Okay.
Actually, can you just sign this one and then I'll write out that. I have a copy. I don't know what I did with the original. Sorry. Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
I made the motion to appoint.
Kelly seconded or Jen?
I did.
Okay.
All right. So moving along to the town administrator's report.
So I did a expenditure and revenue report for you.
Yeah.
Revenues are pretty good.
Okay.
I estimated 350,000 in motor vehicles, and we're at almost 200,000. And it's only the first 4 months, the third of the year.
Oh, okay.
I do have to say that, you know, you're gonna get to it later, but this most recent storm, the road agent is estimating that he spent $75,000 on that storm, and that is 30% of our budget. So if it doesn't get declared as a FEMA event, I mean, if it gets declared, even just Carroll County, then we would be qualified to apply for 75% of that coming back. But if not,
Yeah, that's
that's a big part of his
I'm gonna
budget.
look on the bright side of that, there's too much damage in that area. Yeah, it's too much.
I think that Carroll County is so big, and Carroll County, it seems to be really,
All those
In-
roads shut down in Conway.
yeah. Well, and here too, I mean,
Yeah.
here's the letters for the charitable exemption. So yeah, I think we just need to kind of keep an eye on that, because we may not know for a little while whether we're gonna be able to even apply. They did ask for the questionnaire, Curtis filled the questionnaire out for HSEM, so hopefully within the week we'll hear whether there's a, you know, they gotta meet a threshold by
Yeah.
county, so it may be a few days before we hear, but then the real work will start on doing an application, because every time you do an application it changes, and every time it gets harder and harder. And,
Who's our representative at HES?
I can't even remember now, we're on
Because
like
they should be helping.
well, we're on like the 34th one since we started the local hazard mitigation plan over again. We had a couple of temporary ones, and then I think they gave us one, and then they used to come out like once a year and introduce themselves and help you with stuff, and now
Heidi was great.
I don't even really get a phone call. So I'm gonna have to call down there and find out, because I want to get my name up on the list, you know, just so that I get the emails and am aware.
I spoke with Mark McConkey, because I have damage I'm dealing with too, and there's an email list that I'm sure Curtis must be on,
Yeah, I actually,
because he's pushing for it.
I'm actually not on it, but I got it forwarded to me from the Public Works,
Kurt what's his name?
Kurt Blomquist.
Yeah, Blomquist.
Yeah, so I got it from him,
Yeah.
so I forwarded it to Curtis, and he
Yeah.
said he answered it. I didn't really ask Curtis if he gets those directly, but he should,
I think if you
because,
got that survey, then you're on the list, though, because I got the same survey. But Mark's dealing directly with the governor on pushing this. I got a couple email threads that he's pursuing it, but there is a threshold we have to meet.
right.
So
Yeah,
they're waiting
it's
for all
very-
the information.
It's very regional, and sometimes, like, if Concord's not involved, or the southern part of the state where the majority of the population is, density is, if Nashua didn't get hit, Manchester didn't get hit, then sometimes Concord goes, whoa, what happened?
Oh, right.
You know, so, but I think Carroll County is, 26 towns? And I think it was concentrated
I think it
pretty
is.
much around the Lakes region and in the Mount Washington Valley, so I think we'll get declared, but it'll be a minute.
Yeah. Cool.
And then, so here's the building permit. So I received a building permit. So last week, I got your permission to send out a letter to somebody who was had built a shed without a permit. Sent them a letter, they called this week, they provided a commercial building permit because they have a business, and then I believe they have two mobile homes, or a home and a mobile home, and then they built a shed that's for storage and to act as an office for the business. So what I do is I receive the building permit, and then I send it to the building permit administrator, and then in case of a commercial one, it also goes to the fire chief. And both of them have to sign off on it. The building inspector, I haven't heard from him yet, but I heard back from the fire chief almost immediately, because the applicant told me that part of the office, they were using electricity through an extension cord, and the fire chief, wrote an email about, I'm not crazy about that, but also he's concerned about this property being non-conforming because it has two homes and a business already. And if it's non-conforming, doesn't our zoning say that you can't approve anything that makes it more non-conforming? I'm not gonna make a call on that. If he won't approve it because it's got an extension cord, then I think that's for him to put in writing. I mean, I think he has put it in writing to us, and then you can choose to deny it and base it on the fact that, or he probably should go out and inspect it.
Yeah.
Cause that's just what she told me. It's kind of hearsay to him. I let him know to look for that, but, it's your call. I don't know if you wanna sign off on a building permit that has a potential electrical issue, because it's obviously a safety issue. Like then, you know, if you sign off on this without the fire chief signing off on it, and then the electricity shorts out and the shed burns down with somebody, like, do you really wanna be in that position?
So do we send Dave to go look
No, I would,
at it?
usually
or
Chief Solomon looks at his,
he does
I mean,
that? Okay.
Dave would,
Maybe they could go together.
yeah, that's true.
My thoughts on the non-conforming is, are you gonna tell them they can't put a shed on their property?
Yeah, right.
I don't think,
Well, no,
Just
and
because it's
I talked
non-conforming?
to, well, yeah, and I talked to Jason Cullen. He says, you know, it's been non-conforming forever. Like it's
Yes.
not something we need to bring into compliance because it's grandfathered. I think the sticky wicket here is if it was a storage shed only, I'm not sure it would be that critical, but it's not just a storage shed. They're using it as an office for the commercial part of the building as well. So, you know, is that gonna expand the use at some point? I mean, that's, I don't know, because they're renting out that automotive business and now they're doing a dealership business. So are there two businesses running out of there and one of them is gonna run from the office? Like, I never looked at the planning board file to see what,
I think they were approved for selling
both
the cars
businesses.
and the,
yeah, then I wouldn't really hang my head on the non-conforming use, but I would not
With the
approve a
electricity.
building permit that your
Okay.
fire chief hasn't signed. That's
Okay.
just me.
So-
You guys
Should it
are the authority.
be Dave and the chief going back out there to check it out?
Well, now she notified me this afternoon that they've posted their property for no trespassing, so now they'll have to make an appointment to go out there and look at it. But yes, I think at the very least, if Chief Solomon is not going to approve it, then he should go out there and eyeball it and tell them why. And I think you make a motion to table this. I mean, I wouldn't even be putting this on your agenda because it isn't signed off by the two of them. But I already know he's never going to sign off on it as it exists today. So I'm bringing it to you just so you're aware, because generally you have 30 days to issue a building permit.
Okay.
You can, on day 28, you can deny it because it doesn't meet fire codes or whatever, but
So I'll make a motion to table the zoning violation,
the building permit.
building
for
permit, for 1297 NH Route 16.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
And
So we're gonna have chief go out there? I mean, he's already been there, has he been there and seen the code, or because he saw it? Someone
No,
told me
the
that?
applicant told me that she was
I think it
using
was
an
just
extension
word of
cord to
mouth.
provide electricity to the office.
So he just went by that to
He
say,
went by that and said, I wouldn't approve it, but he said I might not approve it anyway because of the non-conforming use, but that really isn't up to the fire chief, that's up
Right.
to the board of
so we're
selectmen.
not denying anything except
You're
we're
tabling it.
asking for more.
You're tabling
Tabling
it
it for
and
more
asking
information.
him to do a physical inspection.
Okay,
Yeah, if he's gonna deny it for the electricity, I would be in agreement with that, because it's just a safety,
Mhm.
alright,
it's a safety issue. And if something burned,
oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
You know.
An extension could be pulled in and pulled out, I
Mhm.
mean, that's just that, it's up to the chief,
Yeah.
that's how he wants to play that.
Okay. So all in favor of tabling the
The thing,
1297 New Hampshire Route 16 building permit?
I,
aye,
Aye. Alright. We're moving on to.
I had one more, I had C.
Yes.
So, review and discuss alleged zoning violation at 2509 New Hampshire Route 16, selling more than 500 vehicles without a dealer's license or site plan review with the Albany Planning Board. So, So this was brought to my attention in a phone call, that somebody who is a dealer in town and, you know, pays a lot of money to get that dealer's license and then pays the appropriate amount of taxes and all the things that go with having a legitimate business approved by the state of New Hampshire. They called the state of New Hampshire dealer desk, I guess, and they said, call the town. So I don't really understand this because the town does not license dealerships. We get a form like we do for like an inspection statement and station and says, you know, is there any reason that you shouldn't have this? And then you write, you know, conditions of they have to meet the sign ordinance, they have to meet the zoning, whatever it is, and then that goes back to the state and they issue a license or they do not with their own conditions on it. We don't oversee dealerships. So I'm a little confused of how we wind up being the enforcer of the dealership. But that being said, they complained, so I went and looked in their map and lot folder. There was nothing about the dealership in that, or a site plan review, or a notice of decision. And it just happened that the planning board was meeting that night, so I left a message for Sean, and he dug out a file on that. It's not a voluminous file, but it looks like in the mid-90s, the planning board wrote the Board of Selectmen a letter, and I included that in your packet. And it states that he was running a couple of businesses. They believed he was running a couple of businesses out of that property without a site plan review from the planning board, which is in violation of our zoning. So the planning board was asking the Board of Selectmen to send him a letter and enforce. So basically it says that the property has been actively doing business since 1992 without the planning board's approval. The planning board has discussed this issue with the owner many times for many, many hours over the past 3 years. As of the date of this letter, which is September of 1995, so this has been going on since 1992, he continues to do business at that location, and in addition, it appears that he is establishing a used car lot, a second business on the premises. So this has been going on since 1995, and we've got it documented. What I can't find is where the selectmen ever sent the owner a letter and told him to cease and desist. So the problem with that is that now he's kind of not legally grandfathered because he still doesn't have a license, but we have some issues. One, we've let it go on for, what is that, 28 years?
Yeah.
So is it grandfathered? Two, how do we know it's more than 5 cars a year? Like the cutoff for dealers, you can sell 5 cars, I can sell 5 cars in my front lawn when it gets over 5 a year, but how do we know that? Because they could be titled anywhere. And I don't think we should rely on neighbors to provide that evidence. Like, I don't know how we would get that evidence because the
If there's
title
6
desk.
cars with prices on them out there, then they're in violation. Isn't it a commercial activity?
But how do we know? How do we know they all sell? How do we know more than 5? Maybe he sells 3 and then he stops for the year. I mean, the dealer desk would know because the titles run through New Hampshire, and they would know how many go back to that business. How do we enforce something that we're not the authority of? And like, I'm confused, honestly confused. I don't know what the answer to this is, and I'm not sure.
It's another letter. We need to know.
Okay. So a letter
That's
to
our
the owner.
job. We need to know.
Okay.
If you're conducting commercial business, then you need approval through the planning board. And it's not the
And then-
days of 1992 and 95 anymore. There will be fines.
Which is allowed in our zoning, the $275 a day. Should I also ask him if he's been licensed as a dealer by the state of New Hampshire to provide that paperwork to us?
Yes.
Okay.
It appears that you're conducting commercial business and as a dealership, and we have no records of planning board approval or approval through the state
Right.
to be a dealership.
Okay.
Because they should be known, are they a bonded dealership or are they?
Yeah,
If they're bonded, they don't do the title apps.
I don't know, this is something I've never had to deal with, and I'm gonna say it again, and I know I sound like a broken record, but we need a code enforcement officer. This stuff is taking over the whole administrative office. It's every week now, it's for hours and hours, just the research, because now I'm gonna have to call the dealer desk too, and like, I don't know what the rules are and what to refer to, and
Yeah.
you know, I can take on the zoning and the planning board stuff, and Sean can help me, but this is becoming a lot. And we may wanna look
Keep
at,
our eyes open.
we may wanna look at implementing some of these fines and using them to pay for a code enforcement officer.
Absolutely.
You know, not to pay for him, but to offset the cost of paying for one. Cause, I mean, there are like, most of the towns I worked in, if you have to get an after the fact building permit, it's 2 times what it would have been if you applied for it before you did the work. And that cost is used to defray the cost of the code enforcement officer and. All right, so I will do a letter up, and I'll send it out for your approval, and then you guys can maybe swing through next week and sign it, cause the people complaining are gonna wanna know if action was taken, and it's gonna take a minute to get a letter together.
Do we need to make a motion on anything?
No, I mean, you
That's good.
seem all in agreement of what to do, and you gave me my marching orders, I know what I need to do,
All right.
and that's all I had.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Appointments, we were supposed to meet with road agent Curtis Coleman. He can't make it, but he did write a synopsis for us, about the work done on, May 1st, 2023. Any discussion about that? I mean, it was a pretty rough
It was pretty
situation.
significant.
Yeah,
A lot of roads listed.
yeah.
What'd you say, like
He said the town, he said it's
$75,000?
estimated $75
Estimated,
storm
yeah.
damage, and that all the roads are in good condition as of today, and the gates are open on past Conway.
Yeah, he did a good job fixing that I could see.
Yeah, he's amazing. No complaints here.
Yep,
I
no,
mean,
no,
I think
he did a job.
he got as much done as he could, as fast as he could, and I'm sure there were a lot of towns in a lot worse shape with a lot more time to get them.
Okay, and so this is just a review of this, and you're applying, well, we're waiting to hear back from the FEMA.
Yeah, we filled out that survey. They'll collect all of those by county, and then if you meet the threshold, then they'll apply to FEMA.
Okay,
And then it usually takes a couple weeks to hear. It just depends on how big it is. You know, if it's a tornado or something, it gets approved fairly quickly. But I think this is so kind of spread out, and you know, you have to meet that threshold, so it might take a minute to hear about it. So I would think in the next couple weeks we'll know whether there's going to be some money made available.
good. Alright, moving on to old business. The Chapel Historical Society review items town needs to provide to town attorney with regards to the chapel usage. I looked over the 10 paragraphs. I mean, I'd say we can work with all of them in a way. I mean, some of the language might need to be reworded. But I think the first and the second one, it's just kind of old-timey language. Like, you know, we're not going to embarrass anybody if we replace a chair with a newer chair. And
I think the thing we need to stress, and I'm sure that our attorney can do it in a very diplomatic way, is that we're not trying to take something away. Like, and even if we did take it away from that space, we would provide them with other space that's more appropriate for what they want to do. I think my understanding was we kind of want to turn that into not a museum, but like a space for the historical society to use. And pews and chairs might not be the right furniture for there. That doesn't mean we're just going to gut it and change everything and make it modern. It just means a church doesn't suit the purpose that we want to use it for going forward. But if people want to have a church service here, the meeting room is always available. I mean, any public
Yeah.
entity can use it, and they will waive the fee if it's a nonprofit, and like, we do what we can to make it available. So I think we just have to diplomatically say, you might not be able to use that space, but we have other space that we will make available to you.
Right.
And then the furniture stuff, I just don't even know what kind of shape
Yeah,
it's in.
right.
I can't
No
see
furniture in there belonging to the church, it's all historical society.
just records, and I think
As
that,
far as I know, there's some tables in there, but I think it belongs to the historical.
so I think so the first item on his list was any information on what led up to the original 1932 court decree that deeded the property of the town with restrictions. I think they didn't want to take care of it anymore, they didn't have the use of it, but it was back when the church still existed, so they wanted to keep a caveat in case they wanted to have church services there again in the future. But I mean, that's a guess. I can't find any, I'm sure there are minutes of meetings, but I cannot find any 1932 minutes. So that, I mean, we can guess that the reason was that the church still existed but didn't want to use the property anymore, was willing to provide it to the town, but kind of wanted to keep their foot in their hand in the game. And then the details concerning the side press aspect of the petition, specifically what restrictions the town can and cannot honor. So I think that goes back to, we're gonna keep it as close to what it is. We're gonna do repairs and regular maintenance, and we have other spaces that people can use. It may not be open to the public every day of every, cause we're not. So we don't have any way to make it publicly accessible unless people let us know.
Appointments.
Right.
Okay.
So I think if we go back with that, I think
Okay.
he can pretty that up
Yep.
and make it more diplomatic.
When you sent us all the information on it, was that everything in the file?
No, there's a,
I was just wondering if
I had sent the deed to you before, and this
Yeah.
is pretty much, right from the deed. I just took this from his side press thing, but no, there's a, there's some of the stuff in there is, the original deed, and then I also have like the report that, Peter Denkonix and Dorothy did, and, there's some stuff in there.
I was just wondering, like maybe some Saturday that I could come in and just sit down with all the information.
Yeah,
and
I'll leave it out
the
on
key to the chapel, so I can just kind of look through.
yeah, I'll leave it out on the table. And you
I
can
can't
swing-
do it this Saturday.
That's fine, I'll leave it out on the table, and whenever you, I'll leave the map and lot folder out too, in case there's something in there that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Chapel folder and key on table. I have to put myself notes or I forget. So I will send that off to the town attorney tonight or Monday.
Okay. Moving on to the FLAP grant.
So we did hear back from
Jacinda.
Jacinda Russell.
Yeah.
My team is setting up a meeting with our geotech team to review the questions. I'm hopeful that I can respond sometime next week. 6 months later. But I'll follow up with next Wednesday, because somehow a week turns into 3 months pretty darn fast. And really, we're gonna have to figure out if we're gonna pull the trigger on this, or, I feel like we just keep getting the can kicked down the road, and it's just,
Pushed aside.
and it's just,
One suggestion I could make is, whenever that funding expires, that warrant article that was passed, I forget when it expires, either,
2024 or 5,
four.
maybe 5.
I'm not sure.
I have to look again.
If we have no movement by then, I think it's sufficient time to just say we've been red taped out.
Well, yeah, but that might be a time too to decide, because there's $200,000 earmarked for that project. Maybe Curtis can do something with that. That's it. Obviously, it's not enough money to rebuild that part of the road, but it might be enough to.
But we could, again, create a warrant article that it goes back into the unreserved fund balance and create a warrant article, then offset it by the unreserved fund balance by that amount, and then he can do whatever he can with it.
Yeah. But the longer the time goes on, the less $200,000 will do.
That's true.
But, you know, what the taxpayer, you know, if Curtis has it on his radar, then he might be able to come up with a plan. And if it's 250,000, you know, then,
But even so, if we could do a little bit more next year,
right.
and then when that does get released, put the rest of that towards it, we might be in good shape.
We also have to, I gotta remind him about the 45,000 that has to be spent on bridges. Cause I don't want the summer to get away from
I
him.
thought he had ideas about it.
I think he does, but, you know, then you get a storm that he spends a week on.
Oh, yeah.
Probably everything else flew out of his mind.
Oh, yeah. Remember, he's working for free too.
He sure is. He's worth his
Not
weight.
one-
He's
any
worth his weight in gold.
recognition.
And he doesn't.
He'd probably be mad at me if he heard me right now.
Yep.
He does a really good job, I gotta say. I mean, it is his field of expertise, but I mean, I'm sure he has other things to do besides the storm that hit Albany, and now all of a sudden he's holding
Yeah.
mackerel.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with the flat grant.
Alright. Okay, other business, planning board.
Yeah, we met Monday. There was 3 of us, and it was a total of 6 minutes.
Nice.
So
Sweet.
I could handle that one. It's kind of just a little meet and greet, but
You've already got a case for June. I just emailed Sean that there's a site plan review. So, and he wanted it 20 days before the meeting, so they met the deadline, but he needs to come in and look and make sure the application is complete, because I don't want to speak for the planning board. So I emailed him today, so you'll probably have a case in June.
all right. Yeah, so that was that. We did have an issue getting in. I don't know if you heard the alarm. Kathy knows the alarm went off. Not me this time, but when they
Well, Sean, and you
Sean,
both have
I
keys.
don't think he pushed. I didn't have mine with me because I was coming.
Okay.
When I came, it was going off, but I think he didn't push a button in hard enough, and then he kept trying it, and then. But when I talked to the alarm company, I gave them my code number, but they said there's a word associated with it too. And
Yeah.
I didn't have that. So,
Okay.
but we got
It
through
was
it.
your dog, rather than, is
But-
that the dog that died?
Oh, they're all dead now.
But Sandy heard it from the house, and she was here within a minute to shut it off, so it worked out all right.
Oh, good. Anything else?
No.
Kathy?
Nothing.
I don't have anything. Correspondence.
So.
What do we say with this? Observed?
I love that people take the time to type up a letter to complain about a neighborhood situation. I just think that it's hard for it to have any meaningful impact when they don't. I mean, I think I know the neighborhood they're talking about, but this letter is, you know, the
But
letter's
honestly,
anonymous.
this is the first
place
that's
is
been to
in-
our attention how terrible they say it is. We've had to acknowledge that, first of all, what we think we're talking about is the same part.
I mean, I have no clue where this is.
I went by it.
So,
It's definitely.
Well, we've been dealing with it on a code enforcement
Oh, okay.
side, because that's
If it's
what
the
we are
same-
qualified to do. I'm not a law enforcement officer.
if it's the same,
Right, and they don't even say what neighborhood it is, so I don't
it's a
want,
long road.
But
I don't-
Richardi has been forwarded this letter,
I did send it
Yeah.
to Sheriff Rishardi,
so.
because they know way
They know.
more law enforcement stuff than I know,
Yeah.
or will ever know. And I
Yeah.
think people think that, as a matter of fact, one resident called me a couple of years ago to complain about this place, if it's the same place. And one of the things she said is, you know, the board of selectmen should have the sheriffs in and they should tell you in non-public session everything they're doing and everything that's going on. And I said, that isn't how it works. If it's an ongoing investigation, they are prohibited from sharing that with anybody but a law enforcement officer. And oh, by the way, we don't want to know.
No.
Like,
That's
we're
right.
not
No.
qualified for that. And frankly, I don't want to get shot.
Right.
I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not wearing a bulletproof vest. I'm not carrying a gun. So I did share with Sheriff Rishardi on the chance that he knows a lot more about what's going on in all of these neighborhoods, law enforcement wise, than I do. I did not give it to the state police because I don't think they have the authority to work in our town unless another agency brings them in, or unless it's on a state road. So I just didn't share it because I don't want them to call me and say, where is this? And I say, I think it's here, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is a law enforcement issue, not a select board issue. There's nothing we can do
Yeah, and I think we
about
pass
it.
that
I
along
mean,
and tell them
yeah,
we're concerned.
yeah.
Here's the concern.
Yeah.
All right.
If it's the same place as the code enforcement violations, then we're already on it.
Yeah, I would say it is.
All right, I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta check in with, cause we asked the health officer to go
We
up
did.
there
We did.
with a sheriff, so I'll check with Dave Pandora and see if he's been able to get together with a sheriff.
The whole property's posted too.
So they'll probably have to go up there and knock and be turned away, and then we can go for an administrative warrant, cause the health officer can get an administrative warrant.
Yeah.
And then it goes to court and we either get it or we don't. I think with the other law enforcement issues that may or may not be happening there, we have to stay in that. We have to make sure we dot our i's and cross our t's, and because it's a safety issue too,
Okay.
for all of us.
Oh, it is. It's not good for that neighborhood.
No. All right, moving on. Public comments. Nobody is here. So no non-public session. So moving on to the next meeting, May 31st, 2023 at 5:30 at Albany Town Hall. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? Thanks.
So I did another one.
Thank you. Thanks for the help.
Get there.